Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Wealthy Sailor. Today I want to make a video about a very specific topic. I want to do a video on awful financial advice, pretty much the worst financial advice I could find. And the thing is that although there's a lot of bad financial advice, it was really hard picking out the worst. So during my search I found everything from how the stock market's going to crash and everybody should buy gold, which you shouldn't, all the way to expert options actually being a good investment strategy, which it's not. Don't do it. Expert options, please. It's awful. So then I had to kind of change what I was looking for because obviously there's a lot of bad financial advice out there, but most of it is very easy to tell it's bad. So I was searching through some stuff trying to figure out like how should I narrow this down. And what I decided to do is maybe not the worst financial advice ever, but bad financial advice that maybe people don't know. So it's not the worst financial advice, it's just the one that maybe people think is good. It's the most deceptive. So I'm going to make this video about college education process, costs of it, and so forth and so on. Now, as we know, student loans are just going out of control. Like, a lot of people owe money and they end up owing a lot more money than they can afford to pay back, or at least it's very detrimental for them to pay back. The thing is that over the last, I think, like 3 decades, the cost of college has gone up like 400%, which is vastly higher than what inflation has gone up over the same time. And likewise, minimum wage hasn't mirrored that increase. So while people used to be able to get a minimum wage job as they're going to college and they would kind of offset each other, I mean, you'd still be poor, but you'd be able to pay for your classes. Now, if you worked a full-time minimum wage job, it wouldn't pay for a full-time college career, even if 100% of your paycheck went to your college classes. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So pretty much, is college a good investment? I'll save you the trip to the end. Yes, it is still a good investment. Look, the average person who graduates college, and this is particularly people who graduate college, if you're not going to graduate, don't go at all. They still make $33,000 more a year than somebody with just a high school degree. Now, there's a caveat to that, because as I did my research, I started to think that I don't think college results in you making more money. I think the type of person that's willing to go to college tends to make more money. Like, if you think about the kind of 18-year-old that voluntarily decides, like, hey, I want to continue my education to make myself better, I think the majority of them are probably harder working, they're probably self-starters, they have a lot of initiative, stuff like that. I think that let's call the people who make more money more successful. I think more successful people are just more likely to go to college, because we all know people who haven't gone to college who are very successful. But the numbers dictate this, and since we're a financial channel, everything's based off the numbers. People who graduate college still make $33,000 more than their high school graduating counterparts. So just want you to keep in mind that the average person who hasn't graduated from college and only has a high school diploma, their average income is $45,000 a year. So I want to point out that's average. So if you know that high school diploma guy who owns his own trucking company or whatever, I bring up trucking company because I actually know somebody who's doing that and doing very well with just a high school diploma, they're skewing it higher. So the median is lower than that. So just keep that in mind. Now, the average income for a college graduate, again, is $78,000 a year, which is pretty good. I mean, that's a significant difference. And if you're a 2-family household, you're talking about 150 grand a year family coming in. That is very good. If you're making that, then you are set. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any studies that really broke down how they compare to different career fields, because as we know, different career fields pay different amounts, so it's very difficult to find numbers behind that. Now, recently, I've noticed that a lot of people I know are all either military, or all my friends from back home who didn't join the military are all in trades. They're very good at their jobs, and they work very hard, and they're very successful doing trades. But they're a trade-oriented thing. Like, I know a lot of mechanics, and they're all very good at their jobs. They're all super successful. But none of them went to college, or at least not that I know of. I'm pretty sure none of them graduated from college. But that doesn't hold them back, because they're not lazy. They work very hard for what they get. They learn as much as they can, and they do very well. So me being a military and in my post-military career now, a lot of people that I'm subject to on a day-to-day basis are very sort of anti-college. They're preaching trades and stuff like that. And while I agree with them, I do want to point out that statistically it's still better to do college, although the gap is narrowing. There used to be almost a 100% pay difference between high school graduates and college graduates, and now that's closing. There's still a huge benefit in doing it, it's just not as much of a benefit. So then the question is it worth it for you to pay the extra money and pay that back? And like I say, it depends. I mean, I'm telling my son that if at all possible, get your associate's degree from a 2-year school, a community college that's local, so you can live at home. And if he's doing school full time and if he's doing well in school full time, then we'll take care of a lot of the financial burden for stuff if we can, obviously. Like right now, we're doing pretty well, but who knows what the next couple of years will bring. And that's a way for him to automatically cut his 4-year degree tuition in half. He can also doesn't have to go to a away school. And that's where part of the problem with colleges come in, that inflation we mentioned earlier, where it's gone up 400%. It's because colleges have stopped selling college classes and they start selling the college experience. That's why now they have like free gym memberships that go with your thing, and they like it's all about going away and getting away and being out on your own and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that can't be beneficial. I mean, there's tons of things you learn when you're out on your own. I mean, I came out on my own when I went to boot camp for the first time, and it was a huge learning curve. Now, being in boot camp in the Navy, we had strict rules at that age and at that rank, so I couldn't get myself in too much trouble. But it is an experience that everybody needs to learn. However, you have to weigh that life experience against the almost double in tuition price for room and board and food and all that stuff. I mean, you're talking about $15,000 to go away to a school, and that's on the very, very cheap end. But if you can cut that down to $8,000, that's amazing. That's half your total obligation when you get out. So it's something to consider. So over the lifetime, a college graduate will make $900,000 more than a high school graduate. So it does, and that's on average. And certain careers are more beneficial to that. Like right now, the main careers that are paying the most are medical, law, business, and STEM. Unfortunately, those are all the like highest paying careers. And then the thing is that I was talking to some people about this because I was letting them know what the video I was making was to bounce ideas off them. And one person mentioned that like, yeah, but those are all like kind of like high stress jobs. And it's true. I do agree. Medical is definitely a high stress job, or at least can be, and so can legal. But I think information technology. I know people who do that job. I don't think that's particularly high stressful, but I don't do that job, so who knows? The lowest paying jobs, unfortunately, they're still education, liberal arts, photography was on there, and theater. And the unfortunate thing is those jobs also seem to be dominated by females, so that also does incorporate a little bit about a wage discrepancy between genders. But, I mean, that's outside the scope of this video. One of the low-paying jobs that I didn't realize was low-paying was paralegal. A maxed-out paralegal only makes like $54,000 a year, and I didn't know that. I thought they made, I never really thought about it, I suppose. But I just thought they made more than that. I thought they probably came closer to like $75,000. But yeah, they're kind of on the lower pay. Like when I looked up lower paying college degree jobs, paralegal was on there. Okay, so I didn't make this video just to, take a dump on all the people that want to go to college or don't want to go to college, but I just want to make sure people are informed. And one thing I do think is very important is that if you're going to pick a degree, I don't think you should pick a degree in necessarily something you love doing. Like, for example, I really like history. My degree's not in history. The reason being is for marketability purposes. I study history on my own. Like, that's a personal hobby of mine. I'll buy books, I'll watch documentaries, I'll go to as many historical sites I can think of. Like, I'm really interested in history. But I did not major in that in college. I'm doing economics with a minor in personal finance. It's a strategic decision based on the amount of money I have to pay for college compared to how much money I can make with that degree in college. And I think that is something you have to consider. I know parents always tell you, well, do something you love, and I do agree with that, but at least look into what you're expecting to make on the back end and how much it's going to cost for you to get that degree in order to make that money. Because, I mean, people will be like, oh, well, I'll be plenty happy, studying art history, and that's fine if that makes you happy. But if you rack up $100,000 in loans in order to get that, and you're only making $30,000 a year getting out, you might be happy while you're in school, but I don't think you're going to be happy with the end result. So it's just something I implore you to consider. I am not telling you not to follow your dreams or anything like that. It's just I'm telling you to weigh the options there. Okay, so trade versus college degree. Trades, when you become a master at them, make really good money. But what I found out while researching this is trade work is not easy. Most people do not spend their entire life in a trade. They work a trade for a little while. Plus, trades are very much subject to the economy. So things like roofing, electrical, plumbing, stuff like that. Even if you're a commercial plumber, the thing is that when the economy goes down, you're talking about maybe having 2 or 3 years where you might not be able to find a job because the commercial markets are frozen. It's something to consider. Now, the thing is, if you're in something like, a more liberal arts job, then even you could go work at like a college, because colleges are pretty much always accepting people because they're getting federally backed loans to do it. So just be careful with that. Also, the thing is, you can get hurt, and now you're collecting disability. There's some downsides to trade work. So if you are gonna go into a trade, very much look into saving for a rainy day, and make sure you have disability insurance in case something bad does happen to you, so you're set. And I do recommend that you diversify your portfolio. The thing is that I worked as a roofer for a little while, and I do know you get paid pretty well, or at least we got paid well. We were like 17, 18. We're making like $20 an hour, which was back when minimum wage was like $5.15 an hour. So we were doing really well, and I wish I would have invested that money. So I didn't, of course, but you should. All right, just a few quick things on how to save money if you do decide to go to college, because I'm a big fan of people furthering their education. One, I hate to tell you this, if you join the military, you kind of get free college. That's an option. Two, a lot of employers you can start off with, and then they will help you pay for college. My employer does that now. If I further my education in anything that is pertaining to my job, they pay for it. So I am taking advantage of that as much as I can. Anything that my employer will pay for, I do. And I think that what a good strategy would be is if you find a career you like and you can get like a foot in the door and get an introductory job, you might not get paid very well, but then that job could help you with college. I know nursing does it a lot, actually. A lot of companies will pay for your nursing degree if you sign like a 10-year contract or something to work with them exclusively. So depending on your career, that could be something to look into. Another thing, buy used books. I don't know why the new bookstore is even a thing. Buy used books. It's not that hard, and they're not that expensive. In fact, I haven't bought a college book my entire college career. I literally Google everything, and I'll find a copy of the book that might be an edition or two behind, and that might be missing one paragraph that I need, but you know what? I just take the wrong answer on whatever that paragraph was about and continue on with my day. Another thing is you gotta consider living at home. We already talked about in the video, but the thing is, living at home does save you a lot of money. I mean, the simple fact that you don't have to pay room and board, and not all families can afford to do this, but I do know that in my circles, most of the families are teaching their kids, like, hey, if you're going to college full time, you're living at home, they're not going to charge you rent. That's my plan. So it's a good method. If you can do that, at least consider it. Don't have a car. I know it's a really hard thing to get a teenager to get up their car. I actually like cycling. Granted, we don't live in the most cycling friendly area, so it would be difficult. But if you do, then I don't think there's anything wrong with you having a bicycle and cycling around and getting around that way instead of having to pay for car insurance and gas and all that stuff. Plus, it keeps you fit, which also saves you money because healthcare is expensive. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope you learned something. I really enjoyed researching this video because there's a lot of stuff I didn't know, and there's also a lot of misconceptions. Like, I can't even tell you how many times people are like, oh, well, it's not even worth it to go to college anymore. No, mathematically, it's still very much worth it to go to college. You just have to be smart about it. You have to try to save as much money as you can in college so you have less liabilities to pay back later, and you have to make sure your major is in something that is marketable, if that's what you want to do. Anyway, guys, if you liked the video, smash that like button. We're going to take terms from other people that I've seen on YouTube. Feel free to share and subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and keep saving.